What's up, guys? We got The Flash, Season 1, Episode 1, The Pilot. Yes, we are finally starting The Flash. I am really excited to watch The Flash, because The Flash is one of my favorite superheroes, and he is one of my favorite characters to check out. So, let's start off with Season 1, Episode 1 of The Flash. This episode starts off with a monologue by Barry. Yeah, this episode starts with a monologue by Barry about how he used to always run from how when he was a kid he would always run. R.I.P. Logan Williams, who portrays young Barry. And sometimes he would win, sometimes he would not. Then we see his mom, portrayed by Michelle Harrison, and his dad, played by the original Flash himself, John Wesley Shipp. Or, if you guys know him from the other show that I reviewed, Dawson's Creek, he played Dawson's dad. But one night, a lightning storm flashed around Barry's mom, and Barry's dad was like, "Run, Barry, run!" And next thing Barry knew, Barry was 20 blocks away from his house. So then we see adult Barry, played by Grant Gustin, who we remember from season 2, episode 8 and 9. I'll check that. Season 2, episode 8 and 9 of Arrow, and we see him running to his first crime scene. And the guy who plays, so then we meet Joe West, played by Jesse L. Martin, and his partner, who played Edward Rathman on Arrow Season 1. Interesting. Yes, I said I was going to mention this, and now I do. Yeah. So then we meet Iris, Barry's sister, friend, crush. And she's the daughter of Detective Joe West. Yeah, it's really weird that they always cast Jesse L. Martin in shows where he plays a cop. Law and Order, he plays a cop. The Flash, he plays a cop. Wow, I guess Jesse L. Martin in television shows cannot get out of the cop role in shows that I've seen. So then Iris mentions about Barry's time in Starling City, referencing Season 2, Episode 8, and Season 2, Episode 9 of Arrow, and she mentions about how just because they're brother sister, even though they're not brother and sister, don't make it weird that they talk about stuff. So then we see Joe, and he enters the barn of Mark Martin. Clyde Martin. Mark's the other guy who we meet later in the season. I don't know why I remember that. But yeah, so Clyde Martin killed Joe's partner, who played Rasmus on Arrow, and gets into a plane. And then here's the weird thing. Remember that scene where Barry was talking to Felicity, asking her if she didn't want to date Oliver, she would date another guy? They completely cut that scene out of this episode. They show the scene where Barry gets struck by lightning from the end of episode 9 of Season 2 of Arrow, but when he calls Felicity, that scene is completely removed. It just shows, Barry gets struck by lightning, he gets sent to the cop. He gets sent. Yeah, we also meet Eddie Thawne, her dad. Yeah, so we meet Eddie Thawne in this episode. But I'm going to mention him in the other half because I'm just going to mention him in the other half. So, yeah. So, Barry wakes up after 9 months and we meet again Caitlin and Cisco. Remember them from the first... I know, I just reviewed Season 2, Episode 19, but I'm just reminding you guys about them. They were, yeah. And Barry, for some reason, likes listening to Poker Face by Lady Gaga. Yeah. But then Barry wakes up and he's totally confused. Like, he doesn't know who these people are. And that's when we meet Dr. Harrison Wells, played by Tom Cavanaugh, who is a great actor. I like him. He's a pretty good actor. And he explains to Barry, Dr. Wells explains to Barry that the same accident that gave Barry his powers put him in the wheelchair. So put him in the wheelchair. And put him in the wheelchair. And we even see a cage crossed by the name Grodd. Yeah. I guess we'll see that too. So yeah, so they decide to hook up Barry with a new prototype suit. And he's running, but then the flashback of his mom in the lightning storm, and he tells his story like he told to Oliver and Felicity, which, yeah, but Barry's hand, even though it's broken, it heals fast. So yeah, so Barry, yeah, see, Eddie and Iris are dating. Yeah, I can connect them to Tommy and Laurel. Because there's something, yeah. So anyway, she's like, hey, don't tell her dad about Eddie and Iris. But he's like, isn't you dating him kind of weird? And she's like, no, it's not, Barry. So yeah. So yeah, but then Clyde Martin robs a bank, but Barry sees him and tries to tell Joe, and Joe doesn't believe him, thinking Clyde Martin's dead, and the whole Barry seeing his mom in a lightning storm was just hit in his head. But yeah, so then Eddie decides to tell him, hey dude, Joe, I think Clyde Martin's alive, but that can't be because he's dead. But that can't be because Clyde Martin is dead. So Barry confronts the Starlabs team about them, and they're like, about him being alive, and they're like, we're calling them metahumans. And he's like, cool. And he's like, not cool. A guy died. And he's like, Barry, he's like, Barry, Wells is like, Barry, this should lead up to someone like, the police. And it's like, he is the police. And he's like, a forensic assistant. Oh, Dr. Wells with the burn. So yeah, so he's like, hey, we can't risk everything so you can go out and play hero because you're not a hero. You're just a guy that happened to be struck by lightning. So Dr. Wells with the burn again. So yeah, so Barry leaves, and yeah, so Joe ended up seeing. So Barry, who does Barry call? He calls Oliver. Yeah, he calls the Arrow to help him, and Oliver's basically like, dude, Barry, you can inspire people the way that I never could. You can be a guardian angel for your city. And he's like, hey Barry, take your own advice. Wear a mask. And the Arrow's out of there. See ya, Arrow. I will be reviewing Arrow Season 3. So, yeah. So, Barry, Joe and Eddie decide to bust in, and he basically, he realized when the particle accelerator struck him, he realized that he was a god, and he's like, why does the god need to rob banks? And he was like, you're right, I need to think a little bigger, and creates a big tornado, and Barry flashes in with a cool suit, and is like, and Dr. Wells is like, hey Barry, you're right, it is my fault, but you can be better than me. Now run, Barry, run! And Barry starts running, and he defeats Martin, and Martin's like, I didn't know there's anything else guys like him. And Barry's like, he's nothing like him. He's a murderer. But then as he's about to shoot him, Joe shoots him 2 times, kills Martin, and realizes that Barry is now the Flash. And he's not called the Flash yet, but I'm just going to call him the Flash. And that's a way better name. So, yeah, and he's like, hey, Barry, I'm sorry for what I said. You did really see something in your house that means your father's innocent. And please stay away. Please don't tell Iris about any of this. So, yeah. So then we see Dr. Harrison Wells. Go into a confusing room. We see Dr. Harrison Wells go into a confusing room. Go into a white room with an article over it saying April 24th, 2024, Flash missing in crisis. And that's where the episode ends. So, what did I think about the Flash's first episode? It was great. I loved the Flash's first episode. It is a great way to start off a premiere. You started off after Arrow season, after the bit after Arrow season 2, episode 9, during Arrow season 9, but then, yeah, it's weird they cut out the Felicity calling scene. That was pretty weird. But, yeah, I love this episode. I guess that's it for this episode. I'll see you next time, and I'll see you more on The Flash.